I'm excited to announce the introduction of the new Nock-On Arrow Collection. This collection offers two different shafts, both proven shafts that I've used for over a decade. The first being the Easton Axis, which is an all-carbon arrow, 5mm diameter, superior straightness and consistency throughout the shaft. The second being the Full Metal Jacket, which is a proven heavy hitter having a carbon internal with a aluminum outer sleeve, thus the Full Metal Jacket. Now both of these arrows have different qualities that can make one possibly more favorable than another depending on your application. Both of these arrows are proven and ones that I've used throughout many years of bow hunting as well as target archery, and I'm confident that you're going to be pleasantly surprised at just how awesome of an overall system I've put together utilizing both of these shafts. Now both of the shafts are going to be stamped with a match grade label, and what that is doing is that's actually doing you a huge part of your homework, which is actually sorting out a select grade of arrows. So if you have 12 arrows, instead of doing all that homework to figure out which ones absolutely fly the best and weeding out those ones that might not and making them a practice arrow, now they've completely eliminated that process by actually taking out the best arrows from the entire assortment and putting them in one package for you. Every single match grade arrow is guaranteed to be inside of 1/1000th for straightness, as well as guaranteed for weight consistency and overall spine consistency. These are literally a match grade ballistic that is going to be the most accurate that you can get within these types of arrow shafts. The other thing that I've done is I've actually made it a standard part of the package where you get a brass internal insert, a hit insert that is 75 grains at full length, but has the ability to easily be broken off at the front end to be 50 grains. So between your two options of either a 75 grain or a 50 grain insert, you're immediately having the benefits of boosting your front of center weight and your overall mass, giving you a more accurate, harder hitting arrow that's going to be more consistent with most any type of broadhead. Lastly, what I've done is I've incorporated a bar system, which is something that I've utilized over the years, but we're never really on the map of being included with high-end arrows. The bar system is a short abbreviation for a broadhead adapter ring. And what this ring does is it goes over the outside of the shaft and matches perfectly flush with the end of the shaft and gives you a perfectly squared edge as well as a tapered bevel, so that it not only matches your broadheads and aligns your broadheads perfectly, but it also dramatically increases durability and strength of the arrow shaft by going around the outside and helping for any type of linear tear or a center plunge as you would drive a broadhead through the center of an arrow shaft by hitting an extremely hard bone or passing through a target and hitting a rock. So that broadhead adapter ring really protects not only the shaft but also the broadhead and dramatically increases the ability for that arrow to spin exactly perfect. So this system utilizes all of these components that in the past I would have to go out and find separately. The last thing is I've chose specifically the 5mm diameter arrows because of the fact over the historical data that I've collected, I've found the most accuracy and the most consistency in being able to have these shafts match a front of center that I'm trying to achieve, as well as the speed that I like as a hunter, all while utilizing one of my favorite nock diameters in an X nock, which works awesome with most of the lighted nocks that are on the market. The X nock is a tried and true winner, and obviously the Nock On series is going to come with a green X nock installed. Now, one of the things that you're going to figure out is that by having this higher front weight and added FOC, front of center percentage, you're actually going to have the ability to shoot the lighted nocks, multiple fletch configurations, all still while maintaining a very, very good front of center percentage, which is super important for not only carrying that forward momentum, but also minimizing any type of wind drift. So by boosting that weight in the front of the arrow, you're going to minimize the amount that that arrow veers off the target in some of those windy conditions. So let's talk a little bit about which of these arrow shafts could possibly be better for you. The Full Metal Jacket is a slightly heavier arrow overall, which obviously has the benefits of having more momentum and being a little bit heavier of a hitter. Now, the downside to an overall heavy arrow is obviously you will lose some speed if you're comparing it to a lighter arrow. Now, depending on your draw length or the type of poundage you shoot or the type of distances that you might be shooting or the pen gaps that you might want to achieve, then the FMJ could be the perfect arrow for you. Now, if you're a lower poundage shooter or a slightly lower draw length archer, and you're really worried about keeping your speed within a certain range, then the Axis arrow is going to offer you the benefits of being lighter when you compare arrow shaft to arrow shaft. So that's going to allow you to have a faster arrow with the Axis if you compare it apples to apples with an FMJ. To give you an example, in a 300 spine, which is a spine that I personally shoot, the Axis comes in at about 1.3 grains lighter per inch than the Full Metal Jacket. So if I have a 30-inch arrow, obviously I'm going to be over 30 grains lighter with my arrow as soon as I cut them off equally. Now what that does is that then gives me the ability to shoot this arrow that's lighter and achieve more speed, or it now gives me the ability to decide to actually go with a heavier brass insert in an Axis as compared with maybe only shooting the 50 grain brass insert in an FMJ. It gives you a lot of options, and each of the arrow spines will actually have a slightly different variation in how much lighter it is per inch. Now, one of the things that I've done for you, which is critical to this system, is understanding the math behind selecting your arrow shaft. This is one of the things that a lot of people that go into a retail space are not able to do, which is calculate which shaft they need based on boosting the higher weights in the front of the arrow. A lot of the charts out there limit you to either a 100 grain field point or a 125 grain field point, and they max out at a certain poundage. Now this chart is actually put together so that you can first look to see which insert do you want to shoot, the 50 grain insert or the 75 grain insert. From there, what you need to know is the actual length of your arrow shaft. So measure the length of the shaft that you have now or the shaft that you plan on shooting, and you need to measure not the entire length of the arrow with the nock and the point on it, but you need to measure what the length is from the cut of the arrow on the one end to the cut of the arrow on the other end. And that number is going to be right here along the top edge. So if you've decided to shoot a 75 grain insert with a 26-inch arrow shaft All you then have to do is look down the left column and find the poundage that you plan on shooting, and you can slide over, match the two numbers on the table, and you're going to get the spine that you need for this system utilizing the brass inserts. Each arrow package will come with the bars, your hit plunger for installation, as well as your brass hit inserts and a small arrow squaring sander for when you first build and square off the end of your arrows. I couldn't say more about this package, and I'm confident that regardless of what you're looking for in an arrow, this is going to give you the ability to shoot a magnitude of different types of broadheads, different types of vane configurations, different types of nocks, and give you the most accurate arrow that you can put down range. Now, some of the things that you might want to factor in when choosing the arrow shaft that's correct for you is, do I need a lighter, faster arrow? Which in that case, obviously an Axis might be favorable. Or am I okay with a slower, heavier arrow that's going to be a hard hitter regardless of the situation? Two scenarios that I could probably put in front of you would be a antelope or a western open prairie mule deer type situation where you're going to have to deal with higher winds or possibly longer shots. In those situations, having an Axis with a little bit higher FOC, a little bit more speed out of the gate, could actually be a better choice for you as compared to going on, say, an elk hunt or a whitetail hunt where the shots are closer in distance and you're also wanting to put this through a larger animal. So this offers you a magnitude of selection of options, and I'm confident that if you're looking for the perfect arrow combination, the perfect arrow package, then the Nock On arrow system is going to be the best one for you.